is 5:30. I will call a Public Works meeting to order. Start with the roll call. Alderperson present. Alderperson Rainey.
Here.
Okay. Alderperson Bellinger and Alderperson Peterson are both excused. We'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. I don't know, is everyone okay if we skip the introductions? I think everyone knows everyone here, so I think we're good. Okay, then we'll go on to approval of minutes from October 15th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion on those minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. That is approved. Number 6, general ordinance number 21-24-25, an ordinance making various changes regarding winter parking and snow emergencies. So.
I'll start.
Thank you, Joe.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What's before you tonight is some corrections or some alterations of our current ordinance for snow emergencies. Every year, typically staff gets together with PD, and in this case, Liz from the attorney's office, to look at things that we could have done better, maybe from the past year. And this year, we feel that there could be some corrections that are made to ultimately make our process quicker, more efficient, and trying to avoid the 3-day snow emergency type of situations. So I can just go through real quick. In discussions with staff, we believe that a true snow emergency is often a very inconvenient thing, and we should be trying to remedy it as soon as possible. Staff also believes that a snow emergency should be declared for the sole purpose of aiding in the removal of snow from the street. That being said, we believe that a snow emergency should be called toward the end of a snow event, not so much at the beginning, because at the beginning of a snow event, we're pretty much just focused on keeping the main roads open for emergency vehicles and that kind of thing. So we don't really get into a big plowing activity until the snow is tapering off or we know there's an end in sight kind of thing. So so that's some of the things we were looking at to try to improve. There's a two-part, I guess, two changes to our current snow emergency. The first one being in the past 5-6 years or so, we've extended the winter parking regulations through April 30th. We are proposing to change that to March 31st. Just looking at the advantage of having it at April 30th, we're not achieving the goal that it was originally designed for. And I believe that staff time and resources during that period could probably be spent more wisely than ticketing cars when it's 70 degrees outside. So
I just want to comment though. I remember back when we did this, because I was on Public Works then too. So the reason at that time was because it was mostly for street sweeping. Is that
street
still,
sweeping. So
is that still kind of?
While somewhat beneficial, I did go back and look at the last few years of our tonnages that we collect from street sweeping during that time, and the increase is really marginal.
Okay.
And so I don't see that as a real necessity to have it for another month.
Okay.
The rest of the year we sweep the city streets, so we don't usually have any issue.
Okay.
So that being said, we always get the rogue snowstorm in April. There's usually 2-3 of them for sure. If we make these other changes to the ordinance, we still have the ability to call a snow emergency, for instance, in April if we need to ultimately effectively clear the streets in a timely manner. So staff would be okay with making that change. So then the other part of this really comes down to parking during a snow emergency. In the past, when a snow emergency is declared, there's no parking at all on snow emergency routes. And Stacy's got the map kind of up there, and probably zoom out a little bit or whatever, but it just shows that we do have a lot of snow emergency routes. So the people that normally park on those streets, they're the ones affected most by declaring a snow emergency. The neighborhood street parkers, there has really never been a change. They just alternate side park, and eventually we'll get it cleaned up. But the time that it takes needs to be a 24-hour period when they flip cars. So we believe that by making this change, what we're going to effectively do is freeze our alternate side parking for all streets, all non-snow emergency streets, so all the neighborhood streets, until we can get one side of the street clear. At which point we will be then asking the parkers to move so that we can clear the other side. Typically what happens is our big issue is that if there's a snow emergency declared during the hours of anywhere between 6 and midnight, all the vehicles that are parked on snow emergency roads, they park somewhere, and unfortunately they don't all go in the driveways. And then they find the closest neighborhood street to park in. And streets that are allowed to be parked on both sides during the day, we struggle greatly trying to get those plowed during the daytime because they're parked on both sides. So what this is effectively doing is saying, hey, you need to remain on that side until we can get a plow down and clear one side, at which point then we would encourage them to move their car, and then we can get the other side done. We don't have to necessarily wait for the next day to do it. So effectively trying to speed up the process, the cleanup process of cleaning up the entire city. There's some advantages from parking enforcement, and I'll let Joe talk about that, but that's kind of the gist of this change.
Yeah, so I think that I'm Joel Kaczynski from the police department. I think that with the change in resources that DPW's had over the past 15 years and the way the ordinance was laid out, it was really hard for them to effectively man a snow emergency for 48 hours. And that's what we needed to do when the side streets were only enforceable between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. So I think that this idea this was Joel's idea on how can we do this in the shortest amount of time and achieve the goal. The goal is to clean the streets up, right? To get the snow off the streets so people can go on with their normal lives. It's not to ticket cars, it's not to tow cars. So how does this work? So let's say it's a Tuesday in winter and we have a snow forecasted on Saturday, a large snow event. We're going to start talking. Joel and I will. We're going to talk about, based on the forecast, does it look like we're going to need one? And if it does, we're going to start pre-planning. We'll loop in the mayor, we'll loop in the city attorney's office if we need to. But the goal would be, as we get closer, we'll make a determination and try to give the public 24 hours notice. We're going to say at 8 a.m. on Friday, hey, starting 8 a.m. on Saturday, this snow emergency is in effect. We're going to tell people, make sure you're parked on our even side of the street. Remind them of the ordinance change that when the snowplow comes through, they're encouraged to move their cars, but they must move them by midnight because Joel will have his normal plow crew out, clearing snow so people can move during the snow event. But then the real crew comes in, and at midnight, those people need to be moved over so they can plow that other side of the street. So what the police role in this would be helping to communicate. And then the night before the snow emergency, we need to make sure that we have the appropriate resources there so we can not just go through and ticket people who are in violation of winter parking and will then be in violation of the snow emergency the next day, but make every effort to get a hold of them so they move their car in anticipation of those plows coming through sometime that morning. And in all reality, the goal is to remove the snow from the streets. But this is Joel's show, right? He's the snowplow expert. He knows what he needs to do. So our role as the police is to support him. And we need to treat it, even though it's not the normal police emergency, like someone barricaded in the house with a gun, it's still an emergency. We need to treat it that way. So if we start planning 5 days out, we can get extra officers in. We can tell people ahead of time that they're going to be working 12 hours. We'll make sure that we have the resources to kick it off so most of the streets are cleared right away. And then when we need to tow, we can hit those few cars that are still left in the neighborhoods so they can get through. When midnight comes, we'll do the same thing over again. They'll hit the other side of the streets and we'll do our best to remove those cars. What we found from last year was that it was a pretty significant snow event, a lot of snow followed by some bitter cold. With the highway closures that they had and the cars going in the ditch in the highway, some of the wrecker crews from our towing services, worked continuously for almost 72 hours. So, so we looked at this and said, how do we do a better job? And it's really a team effort, and everybody that's involved is supporting DPW and getting those streets cleared. And I think that if this passes council and this committee and then the council, we'll have a month to educate people in the new ordinance. And if you remember the way it was before it changed the last time, basically people had an hour to move their car after the snowplow comes through. And if you're at work, now you got to pay for a tow truck bill and all this stuff. We're going to take the day off, or someone's got to be home. I think this gives people plenty of time. And a lot of people, I think, are waiting for the snowplow to come through. So they'll be out there shoveling their cars, getting them moved. But they have the majority of that day to move the car. They just have to have it done by midnight. I think most people will move ahead of time.
Yeah, one of the, sure.
Sorry, so keeps mentioning by midnight. I've provided Alder Decker and Stacy some proposed amendment language that clarifies that midnight is the cutoff point, so that will help with municipal code enforcement on the court side of things. So once we're done with the general discussion, we'll be asking for that amendment. But the everything that he's been saying is assuming that amendment becomes part of this.
Yeah, my apologies on that. So really, this is I think a really good example of how over the last couple of years we've been working really closely together. And we have these big events. It's not one department. Our role is to support DPW to make sure that the streets can be cleaned. But I think Joel's. We had a meeting a couple of months ago, and he said, look, most municipalities declare snow emergencies not for the event itself, but to clean up after the event. And I think that's a real paradigm shift for the people that were in this room to say, hey, we were kind of backwards. Let's do it right. And I think it's going to be best for everybody. An added benefit is that, we will we'll be pre-planning this. And when we loop the mayor in, he'll know exactly what the plan is. He'll have room to give feedback, and then he can truly rely on his department heads and his department supervisors to make those decisions. And all he'll have to do is say, okay, looks good. Let's start the plan. So I think it's a great plan overall.
Good. Yeah, I'm in support of this. I mean, we've had a lot of, we always have complaints about snow emergency, about snow parking, about it's a constant thing as an alder that I've gotten complaints the entire time that I've been on. I'm kind of glad. I mean, I've always supported it, but I've always, with the constituents and stuff like that. But the going back to March 31st, I know will go over very well with our constituents. So I'm in support of this, and I think it's a little bit of a fresh idea, and I think it's a good start. Comments?
I have a commenting questioning. When we get educated on changes, it's really hard for it to really sink in. Sometimes you get the thing in the mail or whatever, and it doesn't affect you until it affects you. I just would be curious if maybe if there could be like a warning, like instead of just a ticket right away, a warning, and then with that warning, a reiteration of what the new thing is. I don't know. I'm not telling you how to do it, but I just know that if all of a sudden I got a ticket, it goes ticket then towed, right? He doesn't. Yeah. If I all of a sudden got a ticket, I guess that's better than just getting towed right away. Just like, oh yeah, that's right. There's a new thing.
Yeah.
That's my only concern is the people relearning again.
So we generally, if we do this right, I think we're going to see a lot fewer cars that are in violation, especially if we start the night before and try to get people to move. But, generally there's a gap between when we write the ticket and when the tow truck arrives. So we'll always do our best to try to get a hold of people to get them to move their cars. Unfortunately, some of the cars that are on the streets are going to just they've been there for a week and nobody realized it yet. But yeah, I mean, we'll do our best to try to educate people. There were some thoughts about maybe possibly making a short video, kind of like what they did with the garbage carts, to say, hey, plowing to the curb means you might see that snowplow come by 3 times in a half hour. This is what it's going to look like when it's plowed to the curb. That was kind of the biggest thing. Like, how do we educate the public what that means?
Yeah, there's always that struggle, and the majority of the city streets require us to go down 4 times before it's cleared curb to curb. So what happens a lot of times is people see us come down the street and get a move, and then they go over, but I need to come back around and do it again. So that's going to be the struggle with this. But unfortunately, if you recall in the past with what Joel was saying with the 2-hour deal, and you had to move your car and all that, we were able to function that way because we had an additional 15 pieces of equipment that was used for snow plowing back then. And so we are that many less than today than we were then. And what we did is we teamed up so that you could do it right away in one pass. And, we don't necessarily have that luxury anymore. So it takes a little more effort, but it'll be a learning process.
And we've also talked about a very robust press release campaign. If we're doing this in advance, we have an opportunity to notify constituents via multiple avenues. We've got DPW, we've got the city website, we've got Facebook, X, formerly Twitter. I'm not sure if this can be part of the Nixle notification so that residents can get it on their text messages too, if they're not on social media. But there is a plan, and there would be time to communicate that plan in advance rather than being reactionary.
Right, that's great.
I happen to know someone who works at the radio station too that'll get me in the morning, and then they'll play it on all the Sheboygan stations throughout the day. So when we have these big things, we'll do that too, because some people, our residents who aren't on Facebook and Twitter, a lot of times are listening to WHBL all day.
Yeah.
We'll do our best. It's not going to be perfect.
Of course not. No, change is hard.
But it's not a lot of change though either.
No.
So it's just that minor change for the non-snow emergency routes during the day.
Just so that the committee is aware, I did take a look at, so if we're going to change the end of winter parking from April 30th to March 31st, the signage throughout the city will need to be changed. And so I have, from what I can tell, 185 different winter parking related signs that would have to be modified. Last time it was changed, we ended up not replacing this whole entire sign, but we used like a sticker over it. And well, now we would be stickering over a sticker, and sometimes that, I'm not anticipating having to replace all of them, but there will be some additional cost and some effort to get those correct.
Just peel the sticker off.
In my mind, yes, that would work.
Yeah. May not. It may or may not. Hope we hope.
Get the DPW up. Get the Google on.
Okay, so I guess any other discussion on this? I guess we would look for
Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know if this is allowed, but it's not 100% clear to me how the winter emergency changes, like the winter parking. Could that be explained a little bit? So it seems like we're going to have to keep alternating throughout all of winter regardless of the snow emergency. And then what specifically, as a resident, what do we have to do once a snow emergency is declared?
So the only difference for you, your overnight parking is not going to change at all.
Okay.
The only difference is that we're going to notify you 24 hours. We're going to try to notify you at least 24 hours in advance that starting at the declaration of the snow emergency. So if it starts tomorrow at 8 a.m. and it's the 29th today, you just need to make sure that by 8 a.m. you're parked on the even side of the street. So you're going to park during the day like you do at night. And then once the snowplow comes through on the other side and you move your car, then your car is going to be good for parking the next day. So really, it's gonna benefit you if you live off of a snow emergency because your street's gonna get plowed better.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess.
I move to approve the ordinance.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded.
Make an
Now we need to make an amendment.
Thank you.
I move to make, well, why don't you make it?
I move to make
An amendment.
an amendment to say
And read end sections.
section 20-4B3 is amended to read, once the snowplow has cleared snow to the curbing for the opposite side of the said street, vehicles shall be relocated to the cleared side by no later than midnight, where they shall remain when parked for the remaining duration of the next snow emergency day.
Second.
Nailed it.
Okay.
Good job.
Any comment on the amendment? Okay, first, we'll vote on the amendment first. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. The amendment is approved. Now we're back to the original ordinance. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Okay, number 7, general ordinance number 22-24-25, an ordinance establishing new winter parking restrictions on South 23rd and South 24th Street between Indiana Avenue and Georgia Avenue. This is,
I can speak to this.
I could speak for two probably.
You're right.
So this summer, we had some constituents present at the committee meeting talking about parking difficulties on their very narrow roads. And we thought during that meeting that this may be a viable option to help alleviate that stress. Joel Costi with DPW was in support of this and participated in that discussion. And I believe that Alder Decker presented this proposal to his neighborhood association and they were overwhelmingly in support as well. If it doesn't work, we'll change it back next year and try something new. So we're just asking that this be approved.
I would concur, the neighbors, it's something that they're looking forward to. It is the way it was many years ago, I believe, like a long time, like 20 something years ago, it was this way. And some said that was a better option. So I guess since it is their street, they're the ones that have to deal with it. That's how they want it. I'm in support of it.
Good. It's good to listen to your constituents.
I move to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Yay.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That is approved. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Thanks, Joe.
Number 8, general ordinance number 23-24-25, an ordinance amending section 8-16 of the Sheboygan Municipal Code so as to expand beach access for pets.
I can speak on this one too. Are you planning to?
I was hoping you would.
First.
Okay.
But I did have to near just in case.
Okay. So the mayor's pet friendly committee wanted to expand beach access to residents with pets. This looked like a really nice option that would be minimally disruptive to other beach patrons. So we are anticipating that signage will be installed in spring and that this should be just another welcoming opportunity for residents with pets.
As somebody with 2 dogs, I think this is a good thing to expand access.
Same.
Yeah.
I move to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it's approved.
Gotta keep you on your toes.
Throwing me off here. Okay,
Gotta have some.
number 9, resolution number 107, 2425, resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to enter into a contract for the provision and installation of playground equipment to be installed at Optimist Park and authorizing a budget amendment. Joel.
So, the Optimist Club approached us, actually a few years ago and said, hey, we'd like a basketball court and could we share the cost? We kind of were going down that route and then we kind of came to the conclusion together that maybe the basketball court's not the best thing in this park, but improving the playground equipment. You know, they really like what they see on the north side, the Shaw Family Playground, and want to keep improving that area. A lot of visitors there. They have a splash pad. They have a shelter for rental. So we said, yeah, let's see if let's do that instead. So and then we went through the bidding process. We had they actually were working with Lee Recreation, the group themselves, which was very nice. You know, working with Lee to figure out what they'd like to see. And they came to the conclusion of, you know, quite a few items, trying to stay around a 25-25 split, so around $50,000. So, well, that Lee obviously is able to receive the bid. There was 2 companies and Lee had the best bid. We came about also that there was some community development block grant money that we still could be using this year. So instead of using our capital funds, we'd like to use that for the purchase of the playground equipment. And then that's $37,520. And then Optimist Park's donation, they would be just donating the $13,000. It's easier to just use different funds for implementation, installation. So that would go towards the installation of the playground, and they would still have money that could go towards the future playground. So kind of saves us on our capital, which would have been the parkland dedication fee. So it kind of that's a fee that just keeps building and you use, and so it's a savings there that could go towards other park projects. So we're just asking to accept the resolution, and so we can make the purchase. And then we would like to have the Optimist Club come to the city council at some point to make their donation and be recognized.
Oh, nice.
Very good. Always in support of playground equipment. I think it's valuable to the neighborhoods. Sometimes the price, I look at it, I just kind of go.
In the wrong business.
But
it just, wow, it went crazy.
Yeah. Well, it was never cheap.
Never cheap, no.
But it does have a high price tag. I do know that. So, but it does have a pretty good lifespan. That's for sure. So.
I think it's great that we're trying to get kids out, have fun, not in front of a screen.
Yeah. I move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Yay.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. That's approved. Number 10, resolution number 108-2425, a resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to enter into a contract with Essential Sewer and Water Services LLC for the sanitary sewer repair on Oakland Avenue between South 8th and South 9th Street.
So this is a stretch of sewer. Actually, Joel's guys discovered that it was failing pretty badly. We did a couple repairs midsummer, but the whole stretch, the whole block, essentially from 9th to 8th needs to get replaced.
Will that get done this year?
Yes. So, yeah, I think we're gonna give them 10 days to get the work done, as long as they're done by December, something like December 15th or something.
Are they repaving to or redoing?
We'll be repaving next year.
Repaving.
We'll just bring concrete up,
Oh, and that's
just
it.
and the Sheboygan water utility, I think they're already done replacing lead services in there as
Okay.
well.
Good.
So it's not quite an emergency repair, but it's unplanned.
Well, it's basically, if you don't do it, we are gonna have an emergency.
For some reason, there's corrugated metal pipe for a sanitary sewer, which is unheard of.
Rotted away.
I feel like that'd be
Wow.
rusted out pretty quick.
Yeah, that's not a
Sanitary way
viability.
of dealing with that.
It's not a very viable material.
So, yeah, we're just looking for approval to go ahead with this contract with Essential.
I move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Motion made, and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Any opposed? Chair votes yea.
You just have to break
That
it
is
down
approved.
enough.
Okay, number 11, resolution number 104-2425, resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to enter into a contract with Correct Digital Displays Incorporated for the purchase and installation of 3 electronic scoreboards with wireless controls and accessories for the Wildwood Baseball Complex softball diamonds and authorizing the 2024 budget amendment. Joe?
Yeah.
Back to you.
So, a good one where money was, thank you, Stacy. Stacy's right on task. I'm impressed. Thank you. So, you probably remember from, the end of the year last year, we really need to start with another association or business or something. So we had a really good summer this year. We worked with Fox Valley Athletics. It's a private group, so it's a business, which just, I think, means a lot. So we were worried about that we were kind of getting a late start, but we had 45 teams last year and we ended up with 63 this year. So that was a great, that even losing some teams to Plymouth, he was still able to attract that many. He's known. So, I mean, the people know what he brings to the game, to the leagues and whatnot. So, and then he, on top of that, had another 20 teams during the fall. Wow. Just got over. So, what he did find through this year was our scoreboards are just really not good, not working. They're working off, on, here, there. We've known that for sure. Field 1 is just, ever since it was put in, it's just, our electricians have talked to the company. He had electricians talking to the company this year. It's just, for whatever reason, they're failed. I like how Mike, I was talking to Mike about it today. They're just, for some reason, they're failed. Now, Eric with Foxville Athletics has a really good rapport with the company that we went to and based our bid off of. And he actually has a ballpark of his own. So that's what he uses. And this was what they use in Appleton and some other places. So the bids went out. We are using on all 3 fields poles that are already there. So the scoreboards need to meet the pole. The only other bid, for some reason, they bid out scoreboards that would not fit on the pole. So, so we're hoping in the near future, you're going to see another contract with Eric and moving forward, hopefully to a 5-year plan. But there's like 2 really main items he was hoping that, to move forward to have run things smoothly over there, really needs to be done. And this was one of them. And these funds are from, let's see, American Rescue Plan Act funds. So you're not coming out of the capital budget, not coming out of the general budget. So it's nice that these funds were offered up for some use, and it's going to a good cause. So I ask that the resolution be passed.
How old, just a quick question, how old are
Yeah,
the old ones that are there?
it's a good question because they're not that old.
No, they're not.
So they were purchased by Mid-Lake Association after their first year,
Okay,
in 2016.
okay.
So not old at all. Can't explain, what's going on. Just, they've just never been right for some reason.
Does this include installation?
This includes installation. Yep.
Yep, perfect.
So.
If they want to come
and-
back here with like another $10,000 for
Right,
install.
no. No.
I move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Made and seconded. I just, one other
sorry.
comment that I would just say that, it's been kind of cool with the softball association that's been there. I mean, I was kind of shocked when I saw the lights on about a week ago, and I was like, wow, they're still playing softball. It's so, but it's really cool that the park is being used and being utilized. I don't think I've ever seen it being used like this in a long time, and it's
That late
good
in
to
the
see.
season, yeah.
It's good to see. So, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. It's approved.
Right
Okay.
into winter ball. That's the thing.
Winter ball.
The way we're headed.
Number 12, resolution number 106, 2425, resolution authorizing execution of the subordination, non-disturbance and attornment agreement and estoppel certificate and landlord waiver and consent on behalf of the city regarding the Harbor Winds Hotel.
I'm pretty sure you know who this one's going.
Sounds like a lot of
Long time no see.
So this is typically a doc that would go to F&P, but it is basically just a document agreeing that our lien is subordinate to a mortgage. So it doesn't confer ownership interest or any, it doesn't take away any city rights, property rights or whatever. Basically, if the lessee defaults on their mortgage, then we accept the mortgaging entity as the city's new lessee. So it's something that we have done historically. In fact, for the property, we've done this maybe 3 or 4 times already now with different ownerships and different lending programs employed. So it's a fairly standardized document.
That's my question. Is this city land that the hotel is on?
Yeah, so most of these documents come through on RDA land, but the Harbor Winds property is city owned.
Wow.
That's
I
news
was
to
not-
me.
I think it's news to the entire committee here. Okay.
I move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Motion's made second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not even a yay, yeah.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. It's approved. Resolution number 13, resolution number 110, 2425, a resolution authorizing the vacation of 2 easements pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 236.293 on parcel number 592813318390. Okay.
Do you want to
I wasn't.
No, this is regarding the Kite Beach property.
Oh,
which
okay,
is being
okay.
proposed for redevelopment.
So as the developer is doing his due diligence and researching the property, he discovered 2 city easements that are on the property that were most likely adopted for storm sewer usage.
Just for reference, they kind of went like
There was an alley
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right,
Okay.
yeah. That's right.
and when the buildings were torn down and everything changed, we don't need those easements anymore. There's no storm sewer there. So as part of the development, he's asked us to vacate those easements.
Okay. That makes sense.
we are in favor of that.
I move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Yay.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes yay. That is approved. Okay, we are at the end of the meeting. Next meeting date is November 12th, 2024. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.